Okay, so we'll pick up video 3 here talking about obtaining goods by false pretenses. Here we're talking about crimes such as check fraud, writing bad checks, getting things basically through fraud, but it is still a type of property crime. Then there's also arson, which is destroying property by fire, and then forgeries, whether that be on a check or some type of document in order to obtain property. Okay, there's also receiving stolen goods. That is a type of property crime. The next category are public order crimes, and those tend to be some that are highly debated. Clearly we can agree that murder, arson, burglary, all of those are crimes against society. But public order crimes, we're talking about things that are sometimes called victimless crimes because they really, truly only harm the offender. However, really hard-nosed prosecutors and legislators are going to say that it is not just the offender it harms, that it harms society as a whole. But here we're talking about public drunkenness, prostitution, gambling, illegal drug use, those types of behavior. Then you have your white collar crimes. These tend to be those that occur in the business world, usually with well-respected individuals. Embezzlement, mail and wire fraud, bribery, bankruptcy fraud, insider trading. When Martha Stewart was convicted, that was of insider trading. It's a white-collar crime. Usually those who are convicted of white-collar crimes go to much less severe prisons. They're going to minimum security facilities because they're not high risk of endangering others. So in your text, it gives you some description about each one. I won't stick on that point. The next is organized crime. Here we're dealing with quite the opposite of white-collar crime. Excuse me. We're dealing with, and clearly from the name, an organized group of individuals who are committing usually a wide range of crimes, whether it's drug related or illegal gambling. Probably the biggest one is money laundering, because it's a way for money laundering is a way for criminals to take the money that they have gained through some criminal activity and attempt to cycle it through the banks or a legitimate business in order to clean that money. Criminals tend to falsely report their income, their dirty money, and they will use it in a legitimate business adventure or venture to make that money clean. There's also the RICO Act, the Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organization Act. It was passed in 1970, and it made it a federal crime to use any income obtained from racketing activity to purchase interest in a legitimate enterprise. It makes it a federal crime to acquire or maintain an interest in an enterprise through racketeering activity. It makes it a crime to conduct or participate in the affairs of an enterprise through racketeering activity, and a crime to conspire to do any of the preceding activities. Okay, so usually if it can be established that a person has committed two of these offenses, then they are deemed to have been involved in racketeering activity, and usually that is how the government tends to get or convict organized crime members is through the Racketeering Act. And then we have cyber crimes. While many people may think that this is new crimes, okay, it's the same old crimes, they're just occurring in the virtual world or the internet, opposed to the physical world. And it's very challenging for law enforcement to apply these traditional laws, which were designed to protect people from damage to their physical property or to their physical self, to now convert this to new methods of fighting crime. Some examples: you have cyber theft. We all have heard of or seen or dealt with someone who's received the Nigerian email fraud. That's a type of cyber theft. If someone gets your identity or one of your bank accounts or your credit card accounts and uses that online, that's cyber theft. You are very susceptible to identity theft in the online world, so we have to be careful there. Cyber stalking. This is when you are harassing, following a person, putting them in reasonable fear for their safety, for the safety of their immediate family. And you're doing this not in the traditional physical sense, but you're doing it online, whether that Facebook bullying rises to the level of cyber stalking. It depends on what you're saying and doing. Hacking, that's when you break into the computer of someone else without authorization. Prosecuting cyber crimes is very challenging because you've got to deal with some really complicated jurisdictional issues. Number one, even identifying who the culprit is difficult when you're dealing with cybercrime. it is difficult. We had to have some new laws in place to deal with cyber crimes, even though, like I said, they're not necessarily new crimes. It's still theft and stalking. It is, we don't have the specific, didn't have the specific statutes in place to deal with them, so legislatures have had to get caught up with the virtual world. Social media and criminal justice. We are talking about an age of social media where criminals are using social media just like you and I are, and they're using it to seek out their victims, to organize their crimes. So law enforcement agencies are having to quickly get up to date on the trends in social media and to get involved in fighting crime on social media or through social media. That means that law enforcement needs to become experts in technology, smartphones, how criminals are using social media to further their crimes. It is another aspect that we, as if you work in criminal defense, or even in prosecution, as to what information is protected information and what can we obtain through police investigations. We've got to deal with, what is your reasonable expectation of privacy? What's the level of probable cause we have to have as law enforcement in order to obtain information through that was on social media? And a lot of those issues take us into the constitutional safeguards that we as citizens are entitled to. So we'll pick up there for our next video.